I think I have the answer is back in the street with another question. Our question of the day: if you were supposed to advise the Ministry of Education on back to school, what would be your advice? If you were supposed to advise the Ministry of Education on back to school, what would be your advice?
Wow. Doing online classes, it won't be the same as in being in front of the teacher for the students. So I would rather them to have classes in front of the teacher than online classes, because online classes you won't be getting a lot of what I would say now, more
Do you think that the video tutorials online would help? Video tutorials are specifically designed to meet learning needs. There are many of them online. Have you ever tried any?
no, but I think they can work, right? It all depends on how we as parents go about.
If you were supposed to advise the Ministry of Education on back to school, what would be your advice?
Well, given the current circumstances, I strongly recommend a mixed learning style, because personally speaking, if I were to be at home virtually all the time, then I wouldn't really learn much. I'm more of a visual learner. I learn with teachers face to face. So I'd recommend, several days of the week you come to school, social distance of course, and then other days, you stay at home, mix, so everybody gets to meet with the teacher in person.
So you do agree that students should restart school now?
Yes.
If you were supposed to advise the Ministry of Education on back to school, what would you tell them?
Right now, I'm gonna say the school opening at this moment, it's a bit hectic because the rate of how things is going is not right, and children are very easily to catch this disease that is going around. Because remember now, each of them don't come from the same community or the same backgrounds. So they're going to, when they come to school, they're going to outbreak and meet. And you can't avoid that, and the COVID can go up. So right now, it's an unbalanced thing.
If you were supposed to advise the Ministry of Education on back to school, what would your advice be?
My advice is, first and foremost, we have a pandemic going on right now. The safety of the children is very, very important. So what they should do, put things in place that are relevant, especially materials. Because you see, school is gonna open, and now you have parents who deliberately don't have the resources, who don't have the materials for these children to participate on the online thing. So what I think the government to do is go around and find out, or even send somebody in the various communities, find out, even do a checkpoint in terms of an interview or so from house to house basis or something. Find out what can be done and help those, because it's not everybody is on part, and for go on part is a very difficult.
If you were supposed to advise the Ministry of Education on back to school, what would you tell them?
Well, my advice would be to the Ministry of Education and back to school is to continue with the online classes or the virtual classes until we have seen a major decrease in the COVID-19 cases across the island.
But there's a concern that a lot of students are not connected, and there's also the compensation question for teachers so on who are using extra resource to get this done. What do you say to that?
Well, for the in regards to compensation for the teachers, yes, I've heard that teachers have been, going to their own pockets just to have service to ensure that their children rather is being taught or are being connected. So I think a compensation package for the teachers will be very
rural Jamaica that are
the areas where persons are having problems connecting to the internet, I think the government would give some assistance to the technology companies so they could spread their service so everybody could get online.
was to advise the Ministry of Education on back to school. What would be your advice?
Continue the online class until January.
What about those students who cannot access the online classes?
See, just like how they find some way over the period when before the school closed to engage those children, they continue doing that.
What about rural Jamaica that would have experienced a disconnect in most cases with the technology?
Yes, but they still get they were engaged as the principals and teachers dropping off papers and stuff for the other the children in the rural until they can get technology worldwide. Because I mean, we don't reach that stage, but we should be getting there. Until then, we just continue.
The trending topic about prefer being done than being dead. What's your view on that?
Why? Done than being dead. But I don't like that. I don't like the term. But not wrong if you rather be alive still and done. But how about they not done? And the couple months not going to allow a child to be done. Then the days are gone.
As a parent, I prefer face-to-face education because I think the students will catch on the subject more easily, especially the first formers who are just starting high school. That's what they're used to, and although we need to have other ways of doing things, but I think for first formers it could be a face-to-face.
So there you have it, another day where I think I have the answer. Our question of the day was, if you were supposed to advise the Ministry of Education on back to school, what would be your advice? Please continue to enjoy yourself, stay safe as we continue to educate and entertain here at the cover page.